There we go. Just bringing the chat up. Hey, it is Andy. This is Approaching the Green. We finally have a name. Welcoming in Pam again. Back from a win. You won last week. That was better than I did. I didn't bet that much, but it's nice to get one out right off the bat, even in a weird event. So
Mark Leishman came through and actually didn't even really notice until Sunday afternoon. I was like, oh, let me look at who's doing what. Oh my God, they're in contention. This is awesome.
Yeah, no, it was. I had a couple in the top 10. I think Naismith, he flamed out a little along with his partner. But yeah, Leishman, that gave me a little bit of FOMO too, because it was somebody I mentioned, like, I like his partner, but it kind of sucked because I wasn't a big fan of him. And of course, he ended up getting a little, once you get to a playoff, you need a little luck, which is nice because I've had way too much bad playoff luck. So I'm glad you got the win. Hopefully you can find something this week. I'm excited about a normal tournament again. I'm going to play the entirety of this beautiful course. You can see I'm already starting out on the first hole here. A long par 5. It's a tough course. I don't know what you found out about it. I did a little research, a few things on it, but it does start out with the easiest hole out of the 18, so it's a nice way for me to slide into things at least.
But yes, it is. The course is Copperhead Course at Innis Brook Resort. It is a par 71, roughly 7,300 yards. It is the first year. What's important to note is that this is the first year that the tournament is going to be held in April or May. I mean, by the time the tournament starts, it'll be May also. But it's typically a March event. And so for that reason, the fairways are not going to be overseeded. So it just means it's going to be a little fast and firm. Kind of, we're going to see a lot of more rough. And so all of that is going to come into play here as compared to years past.
Yeah, and this is not only is this the easiest hole, but it is eagled over 1% of the time. So you might don't get too excited about your golfers if they start out 2 under. Like a lot of people are going to birdie this. It is one of the easiest holes. That said, the course in general is one of the toughest on tour. In fact, when we get to 16, you'll see it's like a top 20 hardest hole. I think maybe it was top 30 hardest hole, top 20 hardest par 4. Even I have an eagle putt right now. I'm probably not going to make this just because I'm just horrible on these. Not only on the game, but in real life too. The ones where you're like sitting on a slant, putting sideways. I can never make that. I need a nice uphill putt. Even downhill I can live with. So,
and that's also going to matter on this course. A lot of undulated greens. I mean, the fairways are just like very hilly. It's narrow, very hilly course. A lot of elevation changes. So I don't think it's going to be anything too crazy, but it is typical. It is not typical for your Florida golf course. So it is very unique, and which comparably, it typically plays flat. But this course is definitely a lot more hills. And you mentioned the 16th hole, and that's the start of. And I'm new to this course because, like I said, I really don't bet golf prior to the pandemic. But I learned a lot about the snake pit, and that is holes 16, 17, and 18. And you're talking about 16 is the hardest hole. It is a challenging par 4. You have water on the right. You have the tree line on the left, a tree that overhangs in the middle of the fairway. So that kind of gives you a lead into 16, 17, 18, and definitely a difficult stretch. So you're talking about having an eagle in the early rounds. Well, you might have some bogeys there towards the end.
Yeah, and people have said that about 16. They said, over the course of 4 rounds, there's going to be a bogey there. Like you just have to take it. You have to run. Just don't let it affect your round. Don't let it affect the rest because it's how you close the rest of your round. You need to make it through 17 and 18, shake that off, and just it is like we said, one of the hardest holes in the course or in the country really. And if you let that affect you, especially coming down the stretch, like somebody's going to be leading coming down the stretch having to play that, and I do love it. Like as we go talk about. I mentioned Augusta earlier, just another birdie dropping, beautiful. 2 under to start the day, but
nailed it.
Like I love it. I love it when they do name holes. This isn't a course we talked about because it was a Corn Ferry thing, but I did a little research last week on the Texas Rangers one, and where they played, and every hole there, it was almost corny actually. Like every hole had a name based off like a baseball play. Like the 18th was called Walk Off, and like one of the tough ones was like Double Play or something. Like they gave them all names. I didn't know the Rangers owned a game, and then
that's actually really cool though.
Yeah, I like when they name holes.
You call it cheesy. I call it helping my memory because are you going to remember, oh, hole 15, hole 14, one of those, but you will remember the walk off, you will remember home run or whatever they're calling them. I think that's really clever.
Yeah, I like named holes. That's why I like the snake pit, and they have a cool statue. Like I think once we get to it in the game, the giant snake statue, abnormal distributed says, what do we think about the Paul Casey three-peat? I'm putting an asterisk. If he does it, they didn't have this last year, I don't think.
Phenomenal.
So yeah. I don't think it's a real three-peat, but also I'm probably not betting on him this week. He's taking a lot of my money. Real quick, I am 2 under. I did want to mention this course record, which is what I will be shooting for every week because, again, I put this on easy mode. Padraig Harrington, 61 back in 2012, 10 under. I'm on my way. I haven't hit the hard holes yet, but I'm going to get there. I'm going to need an eagle, I think, to get there. It's going to be tricky, but we will get into the bets now, which I pulled them out. I shouldn't even have pulled this up. We should have teased it a little first, but we'll start with the outrights. I teased you off air about you stealing mine. It's a guy I love. It's good that we both like him. It's somebody I've bet on quite a bit this last week. So tell me about your Canadian friend here.
I am taking Corey Connors every which way, a top 20, a top 10, a top 5 to win. There's not very many opportunities, I would say, where each week you just feel so strongly about a player. And typically I go for top 20s just because it's plus money value. But this guy, I mean, he is just, if you want to talk about the number 1 player on the tour right now, I'm going to say that it's Corey Connors. His ball striking is just absolutely superb. Off the tee, he's in the green. And when you look at when I say a player is in the green, you have a guy who's like barely in the green, and then you have Corey Connors who's like smashing everybody. I mean, he's consistently, his ball striking numbers are 4 over 5, 8, 7, 7, 11. I mean, this guy, that's just like incredible. And he struggles around the green a little bit, and that's kind of going to be my worry is how is he going to do around the greens if he doesn't hit the greens? But his ball striking is just so superb that how could you just not take this guy? And I mean, he does well he does well. I compared courses to other courses where I looked at approach shot and around the green, and he does well. That's Arnold Palmer Invitational. He did miss the cut, unfortunately. That was in 2020. But then he came back and he took 3rd in the year. So that just shows you the drastic difference from improvement from one year to the next. At the Memorial, he took 22nd. And again, his around the green, a little bit troublesome, but he just needs to be average. And this guy is going to contend. I love this guy this week.
Yeah, he's somebody I took early in the week, and it's funny too. I do my morning show, Brown Bag Bets, and I found him at FanDuel, which I cannot bet at unless I drive down to Iowa. And he was, there's places he was 16-1 in the morning, and I didn't love that. As geez, I went in the sand here, not great. This is what happens when I get talking about Corey Connors. I get overexcited, but I liked him, and I found some 20s, and I just kept shopping, and I looked, and there was a 26-1 at FanDuel. I'm like, well, that's that's for me. I want that.
I would have driven to Iowa to do that.
Well, yeah, I know I didn't have time before the show, so I ended up not doing it. And by the time I got on the show, somebody alerted me like, yeah, he's already 22-1 down there. So I ended up getting some 20-1. Oh, there goes course record as I'm lipping out. It's always my putter. This is just like real life. So I do love Connors.
98% of the other PGA players on the tour. I love Connors too. And you're talking about you got a plus 2,000. Oh man, I missed the boat on that one. I intended to grab plus 2,000, and instead I grabbed it at plus 1,800. So my bad on my part. You see something, but then you get distracted with tennis or whatever it is, and then next thing you know, 5 minutes later, the number changed. So when you see a line, you grab it.
Yeah, that happens to me a lot. But Answer is somebody who's actually kind of moved the other way. Just real quick, he's missed like 3 cuts for the last 2 years, like 30-some tournaments, right around 30. Some of those were probably non-cut events, so I'm giving him a little too much credit. But he hasn't lost strokes on approach this whole season. And all of the metrics I like here. It's a bit of I don't want to call it like a super technical course, but there are going to be shots that you have to find the right side of the fairway to open up. There's some double dog leg par fives. You're going to need to find the right side of the fairways to make the most of this and score low here. So I like him as far as some of his fairway numbers, his greens and regulation numbers, just his tee to green stuff. And I found him at 32-1. So I'm happy to take that, and that'll bring us into long shots because those are fair numbers. Like those are guys that could actually win the tournament. Now we'll get a little further down the card, and I won't even put the banner up here. I'll let you surprise me with your long shot as who you like to maybe compete, have an outside shot, maybe somebody you want to take as a top 20 as well, which God knows you're going to do that. That's just your thing.
I guess it depends on what you consider a long shot, but my guy is plus 5,500 to win, and that's Chris Kirk. I think I really want to say that Chris Kirk has been like the second best player on tour as of late. I mean, his finishes, he has a sixth place at the Valero, he has seventh place at RBC, he had eighth at Arnold Palmer early in March, and that's because he took second at the Sony Open in January, followed up by his 16 at American Express. This guy is just doing so well after, kind of having life problems in 2020. He's bouncing back in a huge way. And I know you can just feel it in my bones that like a win is on his way for him. He's a great ball striker, but I like players who are really solid at putting, but they're also really solid with their irons. And that is Chris Kirk. So yes, I'm definitely taking him in the top 20 as well because he's plus money. He's plus 200, top 10, plus 500. I'm probably going to sprinkle him every which way also, top 5, and then to win at plus 5,500. These are going to be the two guys that I absolutely love this week.
Yeah, good story there. Just getting his shit together, which it's good for anybody to do. But man, if you have a career as a pro athlete and really want to get it together and it's been great. I've bet on him a bit lately. I went really down the board. I looked at a few 75s, a few 50s. Like a long shot can be whatever you want to make it, and that's fine. But I ended up going way down with Cameron Percy. He's like 300-1. I'm not betting him 300-1. Like that's just, it's not something. Maybe put like $10 on that if you really feel ticklish. But he's something I'm gonna bet top 40. Like that's a market you can find at a few different places. I found it plus 320 to be top 40. Maybe I'll get squirrely, do top 30. He actually DQ'd in Texas at Valero because he signed a wrong scorecard, which again is right up there. That's right up there with the fumble through the end zone rule. It's one of the dumbest rules, but I like him quite a bit there, and just he's not great. I don't expect him to win, but I think it's a nice top 40 price. He's played pretty well of late. Again, some of it was like, oh, good, you played good at Puerto Rico. Like that's not really a real tournament. Like congratulations, but he also had some nice finishes at where was it, Pebble Beach and Sawgrass. So I'm fine taking a guy who's played well in a couple tournaments like that. So top 40, basically make the cut and then don't play terrible through the weekend. Plus 320, Cameron Percy, and we'll get into head-to-heads with that.
Just make the cut for any player. Just make the cut and you have a shot.
Yeah, because there are some of these guys where it's like, oh, they're making the cut, and then it's they're finishing 6 over, so. Or, they finished 66. Like you see a lot of those where it's like, oh, they didn't miss the cut every week, but then you look at their finishes and it's, 66, 68, 67. Like, oh, you're dead last on the weekend still. So
but this course is going to be difficult, and just to show you how difficult it is, that the winning score is typically 10 under. So you are going to see some guys who are over. I would imagine that the cut mark is going to be +2, maybe +1, or maybe, we'll see what happens. But yeah. So just make the cut, guys.
Somebody on in the chat from Twitch says, if we want to become famous, we can buy followers and viewers. Getting my first spam. That's cool. So,
that's awesome.
All right, head-to-heads. We'll start with high-end. We'll start with some premier marquee head-to-heads. And again, it's not as bad of a field, but again, it's not everybody's here. There are some big names also. I think we found some nice ones here. Who'd you have for that one?
I'm going to take Justin Thomas -125 over Dustin Johnson. You couldn't get two bigger names than that. But if you just look at Dustin Johnson, I don't like what's happening with him. I think he may potentially be having some mental issues. He's, we saw him enter the tournament at Valero, and then he withdrew. And then, he took a 42nd in match play, but didn't do well with that. And he almost got in a competition with Kevin Na. And then he did well at the Masters. He took 21st, but he did lose strokes off the tee. And then his approach was not even really there. I don't know. I like Justin Thomas. If you want to talk about somebody who's I can rely on I think you have to talk about Justin Thomas and Dustin Johnson. I think he's just kind of all types of sporadic. One tournament he's losing strokes off the tee, another tournament he's losing strokes off his approach, and then another tournament it's his putting. I mean, you just kind of he doesn't really have it all together right now. So I like Dustin Thomas to contend in this as like a top 10, and I think Dustin Johnson could potentially be like a top 20. So we'll see.
Yeah, DJ is probably he's going to get priced a lot off his name, and he is a big name. I mean, he should get priced off his name a lot of times, but he has been. I do wonder where his headspace is at this time too, and you're getting a decent price there. These are big enough names. Like you took the biggest names on the board. I feel like Bubba's still a big name, so I got Bubba at a price over Rose. Rose was again the fella I took to miss the cut at the Masters. And of course, we know how he played. I was real close on that one. Like that was tough. That was a tough loss for me because it was just never in doubt. Actually, those are kind of nice when you just know, like right away, like, oh, that's dead. I don't have to worry about it. So Rose, outside of that, I just can't get behind him being priced like this. Again, a decent name, but I still don't know what to make of his explosion there. And I'm not buying into that with a longer sample. And I'm fine using my numbers and kind of wiping that one out. So I'm good using a longer sample size and just going with a guy, who's played better tee to green than Bubba, and I'm going to go with my guy there at an underdog. And yeah, somebody says they've been following Gretzky's hairdresser on the gram, and he thinks it's a great bet. DJ's depressed. Honestly, DJ does get weird sometimes. Like he is kind of a weird guy. I'm struggling to hit the green myself here. These greens, it's not so much that I'm fighting the wind. There's no wind here. I'm just struggling to get these irons going. And these aren't small greens. Like they're bigger greens too. So
yeah,
I think Podrig's record's in good shape today. It's in good hands. There's the snake trophy, the snake pit. Like I kind of want to go check this out as little as I want to go to Florida. But no, I like those. And like we normally do here, we'll go with something a little further down the board. What did you have for that one for another head-to-head with some maybe smaller names? I don't want to.
I'm not sure if it's a smaller name, but I think he's probably somebody that could be forgotten or maybe kind of just like overlooked, and that's going to be Charlie Hoffman as an underdog to Louis Oosthuizen. Usti, I never know how to say that guy's name, but you know what? Louis, we just saw him slice his drive off the tee on 18 in the playoff, right smack into the water to put him and his team behind, and they could have won it. But that tee shot off that drive into the water, that cost him everything. So now you want to have a guy, Charlie Hoffman, who's great off the tee, great with his irons, going up against Louis, who's not good off the tee, not good with his irons, kind of really heavily relies on that short game. I definitely think Charlie Hoffman can contend here as a top 10, and so I'm going to take him as an underdog to somebody who's maybe getting a little bit of extra credit just because he got second at the Zurich last week.
Yeah, I've never been good at rating Usti. He's a guy, one of those I'd stay away from just because I can't bet on him. I can't bet against him. But Charlie's a guy I like. Charlie Hoffman, we've been kind of in lockstep on him too, and I know some other people have been betting him. There's a bit of a joke around him about not betting on him. He can have some weird rounds, but he can really go low, and I like him quite a bit. And you're getting a good price. This one pains me a little, as I'm going to tee off on 10 here. -2, not great. I had a couple bogeys. You know what? I had a busy week. I didn't get to play as much. I like to play like 10, 15 rounds of golf. I'm just a junkie for this sort of stuff, and I just didn't get to play. But yeah, Redmond is somebody, not only myself, but other people I talk golf with. We really, really liked him last year. We had all our Doc Holiday gifs ready for when he finally won a tournament, and he has just been rough. Like I'm not even like excited about backing Sam Ryder here. This is more of a Doc Redmond fade. I'm laying the stroke and a half. I don't like anything about what's going on with Redmond right now. He's missed 6 of the last 10 cuts. It's been a half decent 2020. It was good. Like I said, we backed the guy, liked the guy. He's struggling. None of the cuts he's making have been like, and he played well that week. It's just like, no, he made the cut. He survived and he got around. But I mean, for the most part, this is a full Ryder fade for me.
Mm-hmm.
Or excuse me, Redmond fade. And again, I'm laying a stroke and a half. I'm getting like plus 120 depending where you shop. So I'm ready to ride Ryder and fade Doc
Red
as much.
Rider.
It pains me too. Like it sucks when you back a guy, and you hope, and he gets close a couple times. And, he was in contention on some Sundays, so
Hmm. And you want to root for him as an underdog, unless
I
you
know
have
it.
a bet against him.
So I'm fine with never making a miss the cut bet again. So we'll go with I'll give always you have the option make the cut, miss the cut. They offer both. So whatever you want to go with on this one, I'll let you start out too. We always do a make or miss the cut. They're offered a lot of these in a couple books. I was pretty excited looking at this. I had a tough time this week though because Justin
Hmm.
Rose again popped out and I couldn't do it. So who'd you go with on this one?
I'm kind of liking two, so I'm gonna say both. And I like Chris Kirk. You know what? I don't mind laying the juice if I really believe that a player is gonna do well, and I do believe that Chris Kirk is gonna do well. And he's only laying minus 225 to make the cut. So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna take that all day with some confidence. If I'm taking him in the top 10, of course I'm gonna lay him to maybe take him as two, just make it into day three. And then I'm gonna fade Kevin Streelman at no. This is a bit of a more of a longer. I mean, it's not great odds, but I'm still going to call it like a long shot for him to miss the cut at plus 160. And the reason for that is because if you look at Strowman playing in Florida, he's actually missed the cut in 2 out of 4 events. So, I mean, the opportunity is definitely there. He missed the cut at Arnold, he missed the cut at Players, and he's really finicky with his approach shot, and he's really finicky around the green. And what are the 2 stats that I say that I'm using? Approach and around the green. So I think there's an opportunity there for him to kind of fall off the wagon.
You should make that joke when we have Chris Kirk in the same
Oh
promo there. That was
man.
terrible. But no, we always wish our best to Chris Kirk.
Yes.
And yeah, this and bonus Strowman pick. I am gonna go with Ryan Moore. He's a guy I've bet a couple times. He's struggled at Valero and the
Mm-hmm.
Players, but he also has 3 top 10s this season. And he's another one like I talked about Redmond and how he looked
Right.
compared to last year. Like a guy who's turned it around. What's the opposite of turning it around? Looking horrible after playing well. So this is kind of the opposite. More at a
Poop emoji.
yeah, like it's the opposite emoji. Oh my god, my buddy is so bad today. So more had a forgettable 2020, and he's really probably I guess I'm surprised he was able to turn it around like this. Some of these guys you don't see a year like that and then complete turnaround. It's not like a super turnaround, but he's competing and he can have some massive tee to green days and compete. So him to make the cut was only minus 126 what I found. So I like him to stick around in this one.
I don't dislike that one.
Yeah, I don't fully understand why I love him for the most part. I mean, he meets a lot of the metrics I go with. So I'm about to go in the water. I need to. I think I might have put the settings back up for my career mode and played poorly. So, yeah.
Aren't you playing the easy one? The
No,
easy
I think I put it up a little tougher because I was playing a little career mode. So now things are just going from bad to worse. But yeah, Ryan Moore, he's a guy I like. And
You may set this corpse record, but for the wrong reasons.
yeah, I know. I'm going in reverse. This feels like a real round of golf, which will be nice to finally get out and play up here. But so this is our nationalities one, and you didn't even have one this morning, and then you came back. You came back and said, "Psych, I do have one," because I don't think they were out. I think some of these they lag a little on these. But who'd you go with for a nationality?
I don't remember. I don't have it on my notes. So I can't remember.
Sungjae.
Oh, Sungjae. I mean, that should be an easy one. Top Asian. I mean, if you're looking at a course that's going to probably be difficult, I want a guy who's going to be really good with his putter, and that's going to be him. He sucks around the green and on his iron shots, but he makes up for it with a solid putt play. And I mean, that guy, if there's any consistency, it's going to be from his putting, and I would rather take him against anybody. I mean, all of the other players, they all have all types of wacky stuff happening off the tee, on the approach, and or around the green and putting. I mean, and this guy is just, you know what you're going to get from Sungjae. Good off the tee, bad approach, bad around the green, but great putting. So I think I think it's a little heavier juice, but it makes sense. In my mind, he should definitely be the favorite in that top Asian group.
That's the thing. Some of it's like, oh, but it's chalk. Well, chalk cashes sometimes in these. In fact, a lot of times it does. Like that happens all the time. I went with top South American. I thought it was clicking to South African, and I was very confused by the names, but it was South Top American. And honestly, like I think I could quiz a bunch of people to try to name the other
one.
people. Yeah, everyone would get Neiman from Chile, but like the other ones, this is
Huh.
only a 4-person race, and
Okay.
it's Vegas and Camillo Vegas, which is
Oh,
almost the
okay.
same name. So I said Neiman's like plus 120, Griot's plus 175. I think they should be a lot closer. I
Mhm.
personally rate them a lot closer. Griot's somebody I have near the top of my board in this week, and he miscut at the players, but he surrounded that with a second, a sixth, an 11th, and a 21st, with those two
Mhm.
top tens being his last two events. He's playing just as well as Neiman, if not better, and he should be priced a little closer than that. So I'm fine getting plus 175 on a guy that I think should be priced pretty darn close to the same. And stranger things have happened. Something, one of these other
Right.
guys could have some good rounds, but I still think I do get some value here, even though I'm betting into a 4-person field. There's a little bit more hold in some of these, and it's tough,
Mhm.
but it's fun betting these nationalities for sure.
I think it does essentially for that one. You're taking like a head to head though. It is going to be between Neiman and Griot, and definitely I would choose Griot over that. You want to talk about a guy who's consistent with his iron shots? It's definitely Griot, and Joaquin Neiman has shown that he can kind of have an off day. I mean, he lost strokes off on his approach at both the Masters and at Genesis, and he's kind of sometimes barely in the green on that. So yeah, I love that play.
Yeah, Griot's a guy. I'll probably have him in some matchups. I might have him in a top 20 as well. So I like him quite a bit. I'm starting a par three right now.
Oh
So
no.
this is, and it's not one. I'm hitting a four hybrid here. It ain't happening. But our next one is hole in one. It wasn't up last week, which was annoying because I do
Mhm.
like to bet this one. What were your takes on hole in one? And I think we had the same take.
I suck at hole in ones. Every time I say no, there's yes, and it's like I think that one time I took it and it happened like there's a hole in one in like the first 20 minutes of the tournament. And so that seems to be the case every year. And now you're giving me yes at plus money when it's typically yes as a favorite. I'm gonna have to go with yes just because there are five par threes. You're giving me plus money options. These guys are really good. You have iron players like Corey Connors who are just like going balls to the wall. Yeah, I'll take a shot at some plus money option value.
Yeah, and you sent me plus 125. I ended up finally finding it. I'm like, well, where the hell did she get this? Because
Oh,
I found,
DraftKings.
yeah, it was DraftKings. I found it a couple different places at 115. So I think you likely found the best of the number as well. So
Mm-hmm.
good job there. And yeah, a lot of times it is minus money. They're not the easiest par threes,
They're
but
not
but again, there are five of them. There's
right.
150 people in this field. That means you're getting, I mean, that's 300 more shots at it. They
Mm-hmm.
say, I don't know, different people have different views on what the actual odds are. With the Tour Pro, I think the actual odds are somewhere around 1,000 to 1 or 1,200 to 1.
Right.
You're getting so many shots at this just based on having an extra par three. I think it's the fourth hole is pretty small, pretty easy. Yeah, the fourth hole is the
Medium.
easiest of the four of the five, and three of them are under 200 yards. So I went with the yes as well. I haven't had one today yet, but yes, at plus 125, I'll take a little stab because
And we were talking about
it's
the
fun.
holes being named. You have hole 15, which is called the snake bite, and you have hole 17, which is called the rattler. I mean, those don't sound like they're going to be beneficial to our plus money option, but but the greens are going to be firm, so I'd like these balls to potentially have a nice roll and drop in.
Yeah, I'm playing. I forget what 16 is called. Moccasin. Maybe they all have like scary snake names, which is and that's weird. They have all this paint decorations too because it's Valspar's sponsor. Like it doesn't quite jive together, but no, I'm with you on that one for sure. Which leads us to the last one, which is wild card, which
Wow,
is
bye.
just whatever you want to bet. You tell me what you want to bet. Literally anything you can bet stuff, and especially nowadays where they will let you bet about anything. So what do you have for wild card? As
I'm
I tee off on the second hole of the whatever snake bite stuff.
gonna take another head to head, and it's gonna be Chase Seifert minus 125 over Adam Long. Adam Long is just like he's just not good lately. He has back-to-back miscuts of Valero and at RBC Heritage. He's losing strokes off the tee. He's losing strokes on his approach. He's losing strokes around the green. He has kind of just like lost his game, and he's barely even putting well. I mean, he's at like a near zero. And Chase Seifert, I think he has some upside, I think you're kind of choosing bad versus bad, but Chase Seifert at least is gaining strokes off the tee on his approach. Overall good ball striking. He did gain strokes on putting when he was at RBC Heritage. So I don't know. I think you're kind of having two players who are. It's just, like I said, it's bad versus worse. That's the word I'm looking for. It's bad versus worse, but at least one guy is trending up and the other guy is just he's lost.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. I actually like Chase a little bit. He's kind of my guy. I've liked some of how he's played, but yeah, it's a struggle when you back a guy you like him and then he plays like that. So hopefully you get it there. And I had you down for Hoffman top 20.
Oh, well, I mean, to take that too. My three guys that I'm loving is Corey Connors, Hoffman, and then Chris Kirk. I am betting all three of those guys every which way. So yeah.
All right, I'm gonna tee off on 18, 2 under. Not a great round, but it's a tough course. And I put it again in the first cut there. I went with Gooch top Cowboy.
Ooh.
So this was a market I found. I think it was DraftKings or FanDuel, and it was they have these college props sometimes where it's like the top player from a certain college, and especially some
Oh,
of these,
interesting.
yeah, Georgia Tech, Georgia, a few other places where, especially the Masters has this, and there's
That's
so
fun.
many guys that go to the same school. This was wild.
Mhm.
So this is Oklahoma State Cowboys. There are 10 of them at this tournament.
Wow.
Like I was wild to see it that many. So it's nice because a bunch of them just like Hunter Mahan, Bo Van Pelt, they're not going to compete for this. So
Right.
Victor Hovland, our Norwegian friend, is the favorite. He should be the favorite. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
getting Taylor Gooch at 5-1. Taylor Gooch. It's just Hovland eats up a ton of this market. And,
Right.
Hav is a better player, there's no doubt. But for, the rest of these guys are fades for me, and I'm fine with just taking this essentially as a head to head, getting almost 5-1 with, if Norin or Charles Howell the third competed, wouldn't surprise me. So it's not really like a true head to head, but truthfully, I'm not very worried about those guys. And Gooch, Gooch had a top five of the players. That's a tough
Mm-hmm.
course. I think he's a guy to compete. He's a guy that made it near the top of my card. And God, I almost had a birdie putt to close it. I just wanted to close on a nice note, and I still
Embarrassing.
just can't putt today. So I know I'm embarrassed. I've never shot a 69 in real life. I've never shot 2 under on a course, so I'll take that for sure. So, quick summary as, yeah, the course record stands. We'll go through a quick review here. I unlocked a new item, not a big deal. It looks like it's like an iron, so that's pretty cool for the game. But yeah, outright, Pam went with Corey Connors. I went with Abe Answer.
What?
Long shot, Chris Kirk. Again, who we're not picking on. Cameron Percy. Not gonna bet him probably, but it'll be a top 40 plus 320. Head to heads, you had Thomas over DJ and Hoffman over Usti. I had Bubba over Justin Rose and Sam Ryder over Doc Redmond. You
Mm-hmm.
what was your other made cut? Because I have Kirk makes cut. I feel like you had a bonus one in there as well.
Strowman to miss.
Streelman to miss, and then I have Ryan Moore to make. Sanjay to be the top Asian, Griot to be the top South American. Just going continents, not even countries there. We both love the hole in one, and you had Hoffman top 20 as my wild card, and then your what was your head to head that you had
Se-
picked as well?
Seifert over Adam Long.
Seaford over Adam Long. Yeah, that's actually something I did play earlier in the week. Our friend J Maz played that a little. I got it before he tweeted it out and made everybody move the market on that. And then I played a little
Ooh.
Gooch as the top
Gooch.
cowboy. Taylor Gooch as your top cowboy, your top Oklahoma State player. And that will close her out. 2 under. I can live with that. Thanks
That's a
for
nice
hanging
finish.
out with us. Thanks for the questions. Yeah, if you have any for next week, hit us up beforehand. I can even answer them then. And yeah, hopefully we do well again. I don't care who wins. If one of us wins, that just reflects well on everything. So thanks
Corey
to
Connors.
sponsor WinBet. And yeah, I actually hope it is your pick because I have Corey Connors as well. So go Corey Connors, and yeah, thanks for joining us here on Approaching the Green, powered by BetSperts, sponsored by WinBet. Pam Maldonado, Andy Molitor. We'll see you next week.